So
Oh,
I guess that we need to find a new server
so we're on
to
we're
do
on
stuff on.
stream went down on Facebook. Check us out on twitch.tv backslash MRCAC or on
So while we're
YouTube.
while we're fixing this up, I've just for those of you watching tonight, different. I'm experimenting with different camera angles to maybe have a better, slightly more cool background. TJ just got super huge again, and I guess that's what we should be used to by now. TJ just getting super huge during the middle of the show.
It's this medication I'm taking, I swear.
Yeah.
Vagri.
Yeah, we
How
might.
do you say it?
We honestly might need to at some point look at maybe seeing if like a Google Hangout or something, because it's got to be Skype.
I think it's
with
definitely
with
Skype.
with the
Skype,
with the
yeah.
connection. Like with the connection, it's trying to balance things out. I just don't understand why it's doing why it makes your picture bounce. Whatever. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, let's make sure everything's running on Twitch and YouTube, and then we'll just go.
Well, TJ, you talk about Heath Ledger real quick while I'm enjoying this wonderful beef jerky made by Iowa Smokehouse.
Well, before we so rudely got interrupted, I was gonna say the big thing that like everyone was like, "Oh, Heath Ledger, the guy that was in Brokeback Mountain, can't be the Joker." That was the biggest thing I heard. That was the constant joke is, well, he was in Brokeback Mountain. You know how that movie was, and he can't be the Joker. The Joker is never really a defined sexuality, so I don't even know why. Like the Brokeback Mountain, like that. If your biggest concern with the Joker is he's being played by a straight man that portrayed a gay man in a movie, I don't know if you knew who the Joker was leading up to this whole moment, because sex appeal or just his sexual orientation in general, not the primary focus of one Joker. One Joker. Like I don't know. I don't think that's the right angle to take. But I mean, it is. It's where people went. It's like, oh, I don't know. And I think if you were being more critical with it, if you took it from the lens of, okay, I've seen him in kind of the comedy stuff with like what was it, that one night movie that he was in where they played Queen music, which always never made sense to me, but it was a fun time.
A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale, and then some of his other more, not rom-com, but it was like teen rom-com
high school kind of things, parties and stuff that they have out in LA that we never went to.
And then
but yeah.
And then some of his more indie work. And while Brokeback Mountain isn't necessarily indie work because it blew up mainstream, I don't think they were necessarily intending it to be as blown up as it got. But so like if you're coming from that concern of, well, and you're thinking of Jack Nicholson as the portrayal of the Joker that you're most fondly remembering, which was what I would imagine people in our age bracket were doing. I don't think they were going back to Adam West's Batman.
No.
And that Joker, but they might have. I don't know. I don't know people's life choices. But I was like, I don't know if he could do a Jack Nicholson, so I don't know like how this is gonna be. And gosh darn, was I wrong. It was completely different, but it was a good different.
Well, I thought he did such a good job of getting the chaos kind of version of the Joker in there, which DC has been, very kind of that's the Joker's character. I felt like, with the 60s Batman, you got, obviously it was ultra campy, but like they based Jack Nicholson's character somewhat on the 60s Batman Joker, where he was kind of a goofball. He was still a bad guy, but he, the evil, the darkness wasn't there so much. You wrote around it in different ways to try to make things funny and whatnot. But like Heath really, his character in that movie, and I've maintained because of Heath, that's one of the greatest movies of all time. But I think part of that is because they were able to reach back to that darkness of the Joker. The don't really care, not really good, not really bad, just wants to watch everything fall apart. And if I don't think, honestly, if Heath would have, if they'd have cast anyone else for this, I don't think the movie with Joaquin Phoenix would have been as successful because he sort of laid the ground as to the chaotic Joker. Up until that point, everything was kind of like, he was the guy in clown makeup and he laughed at everything, and he was diabolical, but Batman always foiled him. But Heath really brought the darkness of the Joker to it. TJ.
Well, you look back at all the different versions. You look back at all the different versions of Batman and the Joker, and like each one like represented its point in history. Like Cesar Romero, the campiness, the goofiness of the Joker in the '66 Batman series. Jack Nicholson in the '80s, still kind of bringing that goofiness and the campiness, but bringing a little bit of a darker side to it. But then, like, The Dark Knight was never meant to be it was meant to be, like, a serious, like, movie. So you needed a serious Joker. And Heath Ledger, I mean, as much as the backlash that he may have gotten by being cast as the Joker, like, he made the movie. Like, that movie would not be as good as it is without him. Like, just, his portrayal is, like, everything's going to be measured up to Heath Ledger's Joker from this point on.
Agreed.
All right. Well, yeah. So Heath Ledger, we miss you. And this is selfish. As a nerd, I miss Heath Ledger because there was intentionality that his Joker would make some form of an appearance in The Dark Knight Rises, and it makes me think, because some people do like The Dark Knight Rises, and I don't hate The Dark Knight Rises. I think it could have been better, and I think if Joker would have made like either a second act or third act appearance, I think that would have been amazing.
Agreed.
I liked the movie up until about the third act when everything just falls apart.
Yeah.
When it's just like, let's have a rumble. Let's have a rumble in the streets.
Old 50 style. Greasers against sharks.
Yeah. Bad guys with guns, cops without guns, nobody gets killed.
Yeah.
Except that captain.
Well,
he was an asshole.
So from the sad news of someone that had passed, we move on from that to the sad news in a more superficial way. Movies are being delayed yet again. So think of your favorite movie you were hoping to see this year that got delayed from last year, and it's been delayed even further into this year. So congratulations. Thankfully, I guess, some of these movies are still on the docket for 2021. Ghostbusters is the one I care about, Ghostbusters Afterlife. That movie has been delayed from the summer of 2021 to November of 2021.
That's not so bad. I can deal with that.
I can deal with that, and hopefully with, vaccines and everyone, and maybe everything gets a little bit more simmered down by that point, maybe it works out for the best, and that November date might be like the time when everyone's flooding back to theaters. Not flooding back. There'll be a lot of hesitancy to flood back to theaters, even with things potentially in a better spot, no matter when that better spot falls. But I can take it. I just want some of these movies to be released. It's getting to a point now where I'm getting really sad. And this kind of was a tipping point that started with Marvel when Marvel started pushing back, like Black Widow was getting pushed back again. So it's just domino effects that just keep rippling.
Has that movie even came out yet?
Black Widow, no.
It feels like it has, and it feels like I've seen it because of so many damn trailers for it.
Yeah, no, Marvel and Disney are against. Like, it was a big deal for them to finally just say, all right, here's Mulan, which once they removed all the heart and soul that made Mulan the cartoon good and made Mulan the live action, I don't blame them for releasing it on live or on Disney Plus and demand because I don't care to watch it.
I heard it wasn't very good.
Yeah, no, that seems to be a kind of echoing consensus, sadly.
Well, Ghostbusters is definitely the only one I care about. Yeah, it was kind of like the whole thing with 2020. I was like, man, this year sucks. The only thing I've got to look forward to in 2021 is Ghostbusters. It's like, well, it's been pushed back again. And I'm just kind of like, But I mean, really, it's a wonder we've had TV and movies at all throughout this time. I think over the last year we've really had to reach down to the confines of, you know, stuff we used to watch, and we got, which is in a way is kind of cool because we got reacquainted with a lot of old stuff that we hadn't seen in a long time, and I think a lot of other people did too. They rediscovered series and that they hadn't seen in a while, or new series that had been there for a while. So, still sucks.
So just to give,
I want my Ghostbusters.
So just to give you, Jared and TJ, just an idea of what has been moved, what has made some movement. No Time to Die, the soon to be most recent 007 flick, has been pushed back to from April to October 8th. Uncharted, starring Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, is set for mid-July now after being set for February. Peter Rabbit, no one cares, so I'm not going to tell you. The Ghostbusters sequel delayed until November 11th. Morbius, the next step in the Sony-verse, kind of latching on and suckling at the teat of the MCU Spider-Man, and now blurring the lines pretty heavily. That's been pushed back to January 21st, 2022. So that is the first big casualty of the pushback slate to get pushed into 2022.
That'll give you an idea how much shit they had on the shelf.
Yeah, so we'll see. Everything else, who cares? Who cares? Cinderella's getting pushed back. I mean, unless it has all the Cinderella songs, who cares? And again, Peter Rabbit 2. Did you see Peter Rabbit 1, TJ?
Nope.
All right, well, then you don't care when I got pushed back, TJ.
Yeah, so the only one that I actually care about on this list is Ghostbusters, and it's just like, oh, now I'm going to have to wait an entire year to see this movie. Maybe, if we're lucky. If it doesn't get pushed out again, like around September or something, I'll be holding my breath for August and September for movie delays.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. The next thing. We's booking. So on Ghostbusters has now officially given a name to one of its ghosts. It's a ghost that is vaguely seen from the teaser trailer. A lot of people are saying that in the scene that you see the children driving the ectomobile down the side of the road and they're shooting shit up, all up and down things. This is the ghost they're chasing that kind of look like a floating plastic bag. He's called Muncher. It is Ghostbuster Afterlife's version of Slimer, I imagine. So the reason this thing is now known is because I think there's test footage that will eventually come out of him, but I think there was one of those cake designs, like Junior Chef or something, where they had to design something based on this character from Ghostbusters Afterlife. While I care about Ghostbusters, I do not care damn near enough to figure out the full extent of why Muncher has been brought into the public sphere. But here you go. Travis, Muncher, are you excited?
I kind of hope Slimer makes an appearance. Muncher is just kind of like, it's a poor man's Slimer, it seems like. I'll hold all excitement until the movie comes out and see kind of what kind of role it actually has in it. But I mean, just looking at it, it looks like a blue Slimer.
Yeah,
it does.
But it has forearms, I think.
Okay, so
a Goro Slimer.
Slimer can eat just as much with only 2 arms.
TJ was not excited when I said there was more appendages. Okay, let's see. So, while we've yet to see Muncher in motion, the Master Chef Junior segment offers a lot of lingering looks at the character in all its glory. A bizarre, well-crafted mixture of cute, cuddly, and oddly off-putting, Muncher should prove to be a big hit with both the Ghostbusters and audiences alike.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a toy thing, right? This is one of the toy endeavors for this movie, and that's fine. Listen, when you have something that has cool monsters that pop up, why not capitalize on that? That's what my youth was full of.
Yeah.
Jared, Muncher, you ready to see Muncher get busted?
Yes. with this being the first kind of character reveal ghost thing, based on what we know, I'm kind of, does he get busted, or does if he is I'd like this, like TJ, I'd like to see a new Slimer, or see a Slimer reemergence. But if it's not, because you never really know what happened after Ghostbusters 2. Last time we saw Slimer, he was driving a bus, which could be a union job. Who knows? I mean, he might have said, "F this, I'm out." So we may never see Slimer again. But if this is Slimer's quote unquote replacement, I'm interested to see where they go with it. I hope they don't make him a bad guy, but I hope they kind of, because I mean, he looks gross, which Slimer looks gross too. But he could end up being a new unofficial mascot, I guess. So I'm curious to see what they do with it. I'm excited for it. There's nothing about this movie that I'm not excited for. So just so we're clear, they can come out and be like, all actors in the movie will eat raw eggs on film. I'll be like, great, let's go.
Do it now.
Now, release it now. I want to watch them eat raw eggs.
So what I want, and this is something that we can definitely talk about once Ghostbusters Afterlife becomes more of a tangible thing. So closer to November 11th of 2021. But I want there to be more than just one instance of a ghost being busted. And I am not counting montages, because Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 was they bust the first ghost and or ghost in the Scolari brothers sense. And then it is followed up with the only next set of busting of ghosts being a montage. I don't want montage bust. I want two hunts, two ghost bustings to actually unfold, or more. I would gladly take more, but I understand it's probably going to be a movie that has a runtime that they want to keep pretty reasonable. And then the big bad that doesn't get necessarily busted, they'll have to do something that almost destroys the fabric of reality. Just how
cross
it goes.
The streams.
Don't cross the streams. But yeah, okay. So Muncher, there you go. So from Muncher and his cute and cuddliness to Oklahoma and whatever's going on there, but I can tell you one thing that's going on there. Some Bigfoot. Some big feet. So there is a representative in the Boomer Sooner state that would like to open hunting season on the Big Feet community. I also love that this picture includes Harry from Harry and the Hendersons, along with the mustache. Elliott? Yeah, along with Sam Elliott from his movie where he actually kills Bigfoot and then fights Hitler or something. I forget.
The man who kills Bigfoot and Hitler.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been wanting to watch that. It's on the Hulu, and I've been like, every time I see it, I'm like, should I? No, I'll wait.
Well, me and my boss actually were having a discussion about this yesterday, and I'll to quote him, slightly paraphrasing, but any hunting season that is added where you're hunting things with two legs, especially in Oklahoma, probably not a good idea. I just can't see this ending well.
Just remember, Oklahoma, the state that formerly housed Joe Exotic.
Yeah,
we don't need these people shooting more times a year than maybe what they need to.
It doesn't seem to me like it's going to be anything more than hey, let's just let a bunch of rednecks get out in the woods with their guns and a bunch of beer, like deer camp,
Well, that's what I said. This is a great way for Oklahoma to say, hey, we need some additional revenue. I've got it. Let's charge these crazy people a fee to go hunting Bigfoot. They can get their Bigfoot hunting license. We'll raise millions. They have to have a permit to go out in the hunt to get. But again, same coworker brought up the great point. He's like, well, that's all fine and good. He said, but what happens if one of them gets it? Which is what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for some Oklahoman to bring home Bigfoot, baby.
Yeah.
Or what'll end up happening is a lot of Oklahoma hunters will go out in the woods and then all end up getting ripped to pieces by some creature. And there's not a trace except for a footprint in the mud.
Footprint that's 12 inches wide by Then they'll call them people from Oak Island. Oh, wait, no, they do gold. Bigfoot hunters. Whatever the other show is. I don't know. There's too many.
Oh, yeah, there is a show about people that like are all about the Bigfoot hunt. Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, but they don't call it Bigfoot. They call it Sasquatch because that's what them people in the north do, eh?
All right. Yeah, whatever.
All right.
I also read a headline somewhere that said a U.S. expert is about to discover the secrets of the Loch Ness monster, and I'm like, whatever.
Oh, good.
Whatever.
Well, it's about time. We've been keeping this in mystery for 40 years.
I'm just waiting to get my UFO hunting license. So
apparently there was an article released like a couple weeks ago that like was the declassified files that were released, and like one of them was like the CIA's depiction of a KGB mission where they encountered a flying saucer. They shot down the flying object, and 3 humanoid things appeared from it, and they started unloading on those things. So like they merged together to form one super being that like started turning people into stone statues, and yet somehow 3 KGB members were left alive to tell the tale.
I feel like we need marijuana for this story.
Yeah, when I heard it on the radio, I was like, "What? I'm drunk. Like, why am I driving? Like, what's going on?"
Exactly. What? Whoa! That was exciting. Have I been drinking? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Bigfoot's one of those things. We all kind of secretly hope that they find him one day. I mean, really, deep down, don't we? But at the same time, we're all kind of going, Bigfoot, you elusive MF. You just keep hiding.
I don't want them to ever find it because it makes it more interesting.
That's right. Know? Yeah. If they found one, then they'd go kill them all. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Fair. So
anyway,
what else we do is wrestling. So I'm leaving you boys in charge of this one because I don't have any new wrestling stuff to talk about other than Alexa Bliss has a new fiend-ish gimmick, which isn't as cool because they didn't give her a mask.
I want to start. Hang on, TJ, hang on just 1 sec. I want to start this segment off by saying that when we kind of were toying around with ideas of a certain reformatting of the show and having segments and whatnot, and I sent the proposed one to TJ over the wrestling segment, and and I like what you just said, MrCAC, because I'm going to say what TJ said to me. He goes, "We're not going to be able to talk about wrestling for 10 minutes." And I was like, we can talk about anything for 10 minutes. And then MrCAC's like, "I didn't prepare anything for this." And I was like, holy shit, neither did I.
Well,
TJ, the floor is yours.
The floor is yours, but I've also got some other tidbits that I can throw out there if you want to discuss them. So we'll just see. TJ, what you got, boy?
I haven't honestly been keeping up with wrestling.
Ever
since Goldberg came back to challenge Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble, I'm like, okay, well, obviously Goldberg's going to win. Charlotte Flair's either going to win the Royal Rumble or win the title or something. Or there's going to be some kind of like, she'll win the Royal Rumble, but then start like a Fallout storyline with her and her tag team partner and go on to win the championship at WrestleMania. Alexa Bliss, I did see that segment, and it was kind of like, I'm honestly ready for this story to kind of get to the point, because it's like they've been doing this whole Alexa Bliss is turning to the dark side with the Fiend thing for several months, but yeah, I mean it's going nowhere. She comes back with black clothes and black lipstick, and it's like, oh, she's supernatural now. It's going nowhere. WWE basically is going nowhere. I mean, it's one thing, when WWE's best product on television is NXT, and AEW surpasses it every week in ratings. So obviously, like, AEW is the show to watch, in my opinion. But even that is not really going anywhere with stuff, Sting's going to have a wrestling match with Darby Allin against Team Taz or something. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on right now in wrestling, which is sad because it's Royal Rumble, I think, is next week.
Yep, next
So
week.
That was always my favorite.
Well, because anything could happen. Because you're always expecting some random a-hole's going to show up, but they've got to the point now where they like here's the 28 entrants for a 30-person Royal Rumble. It's like, well, that's not exciting because now like one person's going to show up that isn't supposed to be there, and it's almost telegraphed at times who that person will be, or it's ultimately someone that's just a throwaway. Like Gilbert will go out there because Gilbert is back. He's 70-something and survived a heart attack.
So like last year's Royal Rumble was actually, good because it was like Brock Lesnar's the champion enters the Royal Rumble and basically throws everybody out. And then like it gets to a point where it's like, well, whoever throws Brock Lesnar out is going to win the Royal Rumble. And it's going to set up that match. And it ended up being Drew McIntyre. It was actually a good Royal Rumble match, in my opinion.
Why does the champ get to fight in the Rumble?
He was Brock Lesnar.
So the storyline was he wanted to do it so that way he could take WrestleMania night off. It is literally what the storyline was. He was going to go out there, beat everyone up, and then just take a break. He just didn't care.
It's probably true. Shit, he doesn't wrestle he wrestles 4 days a year.
Wins. Yeah, he wins the title, wrestles 4 matches a year. Same with like Goldberg will win the title at Royal Rumble. He'll drop it at WrestleMania, and you won't see him again until probably Survivor Series.
Become very boring and stale.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, it is when the WWE goes back to the same damn thing every single year around this point is bring back Brock Lesnar, bring back Goldberg, put them in the title matches, and not build up any talent that they currently have who can clearly, if you look at some of the matches, hold their own and actually, draw like an audience and get people invested in it.
Yep.
Kofi Kingston, a couple years ago, right? Wins the title at WrestleMania. Goes on.
Awesome.
It was an excellent match. And it goes on and holds the title until like SmackDown moved to Fox and then drops it in like 30 seconds to Brock Lesnar. Like, I mean, that didn't need to happen. Kofi Kingston could have headlined the next WrestleMania and had a match to keep people on their toes. But no, you got to give it to Brock. Got to give it to Brock. Got to give it to Goldberg. Got to give it to Brock. Those are the only two. Got to give it to one of them.
I think that's been hurting them, honestly, too, in their ratings. I think that's because it's the same old crap. It's the two, the 70-year-old Goldberg and then the muscle-bound Brock Lesnar that's unbeatable, and it's just people are tired of it. It's like the Patriots.
I think the only match that I think there's actually that I know of is going to be on the Royal Rumble. Owens against what's his name? Roman Reigns. But they've had that for the last 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? Nothing. Roman's going to keep the title. Kevin Owens is going to lose again. You think they're going to put it on Owens? Hell no. I mean, it's the same old crap, and it's not honestly worth watching it at any point right now.
I could see him,
especially with no live crowds. It's not even going to be that interesting without the live crowds. Even with the piped-in recorded audio, of crowds screaming and everything, and I don't think that's going to really help like the Rumble match itself. And there's no storylines going that are even worth it, like the Fiend and Randy Orton.
Yeah. Well, so maybe there's not any storylines in WWE. Oh, where's Jared?
Who knows? Let's go.
Well, is that Tony Khan, owner of
is he gonna buy Impact Wrestling?
Buying Impact Wrestling. So apparently his interest in purchasing that has become very well known in the plebeian world. So of course there's probably, if there's smoke, there's definitely some fire there. They do seem to have a very keen interest and investment now in Impact Wrestling because they have had.
He's gone back to that sweeper cleaner gimmick or whatever.
The cleaner.
The cleaner, yeah, where he's like now he's the collector or something, where he's gonna collect all the belts from all the different promotion. He currently holds like a New Japan title though, doesn't he?
I don't think he he doesn't hold a New Japan. He holds the AAA. So the huge
is it AAA?
Mexican.
I thought it was New Japan.
So Dean Ambrose or
like
John Moxley actually holds a TNA title right now. He holds the United States, not the United States. It's either U.S. or North American. Whatever
I
they.
think it's like the United States, like New Japan, like Pro Wrestling United States title or something.
Yeah. So he holds that.
You just named every title you could think of and said title at the end.
Hell yeah, New Japan, baby. Okay, so Jared's back. So Jared, TJ, I don't know if you've seen this, but Undertaker, who has now transitioned fully into being not the Undertaker, has done a lot of talking recently. He was recently on Joe Rogan's podcast to talk about, so I don't know if you guys have seen any of the Dark Side of the Ring episodes, but there's one that's coming out that's called The Slap Heard Round the World, David Schultz and the Slap Heard Round the World, which is a cautionary tale of David Schultz, who was set to become a superstar until his violent run-in with the 2020 reporter John Stossel saw him exiled from the business he had sworn to protect. Anyways, while that sounds like interesting, and I would love to start watching some of the Dark Side of the Ring stuff because they covered Chris Benoit and they've covered a couple of other interesting topic points. Here is the quote that has been generating some steam that Taker has said. Taker said, "That era of guys too, those were men. You go into a dressing room nowadays, it's a lot different. I remember walking into my first real dressing room and I saw some crusty effing men, right. Like half of them had guns and knives in their bags, and you know, shit got handled back then. Now you walk in, you know, these guys are playing video games and effing, you know, making sure they look pretty. It's evolution, I guess. I don't know what it is, but I just prefer, I don't know. I just like those eras, man. I liked it when men were men."
Well,
yeah, he's pissed a few people off in WWE with that comment.
To which Xavier Woods has come out and said, "I wouldn't be the person that I am without the guidance and lessons of a few key people from the previous generation of wrestling. They taught me about the business, to save my money, and that having video games in the locker room is healthier than having redacted. Thank you, guys."
Did he actually write redacted?
He actually wrote redacted.
Well, I don't know. I feel Taker, I think has been he's been so quiet on a bunch of stuff for like so long that when he does do interviews, it's kind of like anything that comes out of his mouth, because that's a radically different interview than I heard with him on a different interview where it's he's talking about how big a role his Christianity played into his life and his wrestling career and whatnot. So it's always interesting to hear him speak, and it's never really a dull moment. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd go back to where I could see his point as an old man back in the day, where it's kind of like, back then men were men. It's like, well, times have changed, Taker. You don't always have to.
Sort of like a Copenhagen or Coors commercial. Back in the day when men were men.
Back in the day when men were men. TJ puts his dip in and I get a sippy old Coors Light here.
You can just hear Sam Elliott saying right now, back in the day when men were men. Back when my mustache was manlier than your mama's. Anyways. But yeah, so I don't know. He's gonna say what he wants to say, and in all honesty, I mean, he can. What are they gonna do? You can't come back no more. No, they're not. It may have made people mad, but at the end of the day, there's one thing that Vince McMahon loves, and it's two things: publicity and money. And anything that keeps that in the spotlight or keeps that thing going, Vince McMahon don't give a damn about what Taker says outside, unless it is, "I hate you, Vince McMahon. I quit. And I'm going to tell a bunch of stories about you now." Then Vince may go get a lawyer.
He did call the new product soft.
Yeah,
it is. So, it's way softer than it was, but that's okay.
But I mean, you look at the good old the glory days of pro wrestling, and it's all literally is just a bunch of crusty old men, like. And you look at the people now, and it's like, yes, they really do try to doll themselves up and make themselves look pretty to go out there and stuff, but that's the product now. And that's what, he's called it soft. And I think that's what drew a lot of, criticism from that interview. He also admitted he did steroids in that interview too. So
maybe that's what the redacted is in Kofi's comment. So I don't even know if I think it's fair to say the current product is soft, and I think Undertaker should be more aware of that too, because they're a victim of their environment. The reason we don't like the current product is because WWE has control over the current product. If you don't think some of these indie guys would love to go back to doing the crap they were doing on the indie circuits where people were loving it, you're wrong. And they're also more athletic now. This generation of wrestling is 20 times more athletic than Taker's era that he so fondly remembers, where like that's like saying that like I miss it's like my dad saying, well, I miss the days of playing, or I guess mine and Jared's dad saying, I miss the days of playing softball for the city league, when he's talking to like a professional baseball player. It's like, dude, I don't fucking care. Like, you were just an old man drinking beers, hitting balls. Like, I train physically every day, and so while they may look prettier, I would argue they're dang better athletes this time around than what we had.
They are, better athletes. You look at those guys, back in the day where, they're 6'7" and like almost 400 pounds, and get out there and they put on like a 20-minute match, But like these guys now, of course, they take better care of their health. They're not out there, they're not in the back, like, drinking beer, drinking whiskey, doing drugs, and just, being lazy. They're in the gym, and they have like, wellness violations. If you smoke weed, apparently, you can get suspended. So like they, test like the wrestlers nowadays, as opposed to back in the day whenever, it didn't matter what they were on, as long as they can stand, they can go out there and wrestle. Yep. It was very bad back in the day when it comes to stuff like that, because there's no telling how many times people on some of even the big pay-per-views would go out there just, stoned out of their minds and put on a match, or drunk, or,
Van Dam still does it.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, you look at Jeff Hardy and the Jeff Hardy Sting incident in Impact Wrestling, or TNA, or whatever it was called then. Like,
yeah.
That's the level of, stuff people would go out on in the older generation and still perform. And it was very dangerous. And, there's a lot of different everything like in place to protect these people from, getting hurt or, seriously
possibly
messed
killed.
Up. So yeah.
I mean, you go look at Scott Hall's last run in WCW to see that he was literally toasted going out there on Monday night nitros. Like he was in no shape to participate. Listen, come off as actual believable athletes in most sense. Like, there's still some carny acts to it, of course, because it's wrestling and it's just a big testosterone soap.
Balor.
Oh,
does he still do his big intro with his wings and his paint?
No.
To NXT, which is a lot better than the Demon.
Right now he's just a shit-talking European, and it's kind of fun because regardless of his stature, he's chiseled as all heck, and he does legitimately seem like someone that if push comes to shove, I do honestly believe he would hit you in the face.
Oh, he's Irish. Of course he would.
Yeah, so I think I like his gimmick. I think I liked the paint at times when he was the Demon, but I liked it more when it was New Japan, because he would come out looking like Carnage or Venom or the Joker, because there's a lot looser copyright laws over in Japan than what WWE would be immediately hammered with here. But yeah, I mean,
I think there was something with him too where they didn't want him to do the Demon gimmick because it involved like face paint, and Jeff Hardy came back and he does the face paint thing, so they didn't want to have too many wrestlers doing face paint or some stupid thing like that, so they had to get rid of the Demon gimmick.
Okay. Also, let's be real. Back in like the 80s, there was a gimmick that almost everyone had, and it was, I am a white male that is strongly built, maybe not good build, but strongly built, that one, I'm gonna have sex with all the women, and I ain't afraid to punch all the men. And that was like every other wrestler's gimmick. Is
It really
they were the most handsome lad, or they were fighting for freedom, or like something like, man, y'all were carnies. Like, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the carny for what it was. But let's not say I wish we could go back to the old days. I promise you, the wrestlers nowadays don't wish to go back to the old days. Okay,
that's fair.
All right, so we'll now move on to the Batman. The Batman Returns.
Okay, so and we should have probably talked about this off air, but since it is our last hour, we can move on to the Batman, and that's fine and great. But I'm going to step outside for a second, as I do on Fridays. So 3 to 5 minutes of playful MrCAC and TJ banter in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, well, TJ, is there a topic point that you want to talk about? We don't have to go to Batman right now. We can stick with wrestling. We can talk about the.
Well,
I was gonna say we can talk about the Royal Rumble.
I was just gonna say, when he gets back, though, I'm gonna take 3 to 5 minutes to let the dog out, refill my water, and
Oof.
So, I don't know, man. I kind of like the whole Batman thing. Like, I guess they recently dropped the Batman the Animated Series on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna watch that.
That's a good call. Like, you're not the wrong for doing that, TJ.
And I was like, so like about every night, like I'll watch an episode or two, and then I'll go to sleep. So, yeah, I mean it's a good nostalgia series to watch. And it's like it's rated like TV PG, like not even Y7 for like a cartoon, for like violence and language. I was like, holy crap, that's cool.
We'll go right back to this while we're just vamping for time. Are you still keeping up to date with The Expanse? And by that I mean, are you up to date on the current season?
I have not started the current season. I am waiting for all the episodes to finally drop because I think they were doing week by week.
Yep, they are. So there's 2 more weeks left before all the episodes are out there.
So once they're all out there, then probably on a weekend, I'm just going to binge it all and just soak it in.
It's super interesting. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. It's just, for me, it was super interesting to find out that they are still working based on book material. I guess I didn't realize that this was a book. I guess I think I knew it from the first season, but I didn't realize they still had enough books to keep kind of essentially doing a book per season almost.
I think, there's isn't there like 6 books in the series or something like that?
It makes sense because they're going to end on the 6th season, so.
But like I think the season finale is usually the name of the book. I'm gonna look that up real quick because
this season finale's title will actually be the name of a book that most of this season is based on. That is correct for at least this season I know of.
I know it was on the first season too. And I believe the second season as well. I mean, I think it's what they do is they just name it like the season finale is the name of the book.
Again, it just like blows my mind that there's a cat that just jumped in through Jared's window.
Yeah. So, I guess Nemesis Games is what the season finale is supposed to be called.
Yep.
So yeah, Leviathan Wakes, Caliban's War, Abaddon's Gate, Cibola Burn, Nemesis Games, and then next season would be Babylon's Ashes.
Which apparently some of Babylon's Ashes are actually in this season, which makes sense, right? Like,
yeah, if they're gonna try to, because then there's Persepolis Rising. I don't know if I even pronounced that right.
Oh,
Tiamat's Wrath and Leviathan Falls. I guess there's a new book coming out this year.
Oh well, then they can't end on season 6. They got to go to season 7.
So, like, I kind of want to read these books, honestly.
I do too.
I don't really, like, have the time to sit there and go, I'm going to open up a book and read.
Yeah, and that's sad that we've got to that point in society. Is that, like, it almost feels like a chore to read and, like,
So yeah, I mean I hope like maybe some other like station picks it up, some other like streaming service or something might pick it up and let them do like the rest of the books. But if anything, I hope it ends on a series finale that actually finalizes the series. You know, they can take like what they did with Game of Thrones, how the Game of Thrones books hadn't come out yet, so they just said, okay, well, we'll write a shitty ending.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be fine with that for The Expanse. You know, let them write a shitty ending as long as it's an ending and as long as it doesn't end on a damn cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So
this is going to be a spoiler, but I don't think it's necessarily a huge spoiler. I'm just going to tell you my current gripe with season 5 of The Expanse. So season 4, you've seen season 4, correct?
Yeah.
Like they go into the ring, they go out into a ring world. That's where all the action takes place. So you would think season 5, maybe we'll have more with the ring and maybe we'll have more interacting with ring planets. No, we do not.
I didn't figure they would, the way that they ended season 4 with the asteroid that they had, I guess, camouflaged, or what is it?
Good memory. Yes,
like
that does come into play. Good memory.
Yeah. So that stealth asteroid, I guess they sprayed with like that stealth paint or something. So I figured that season 5 would definitely center around more Earth, Mars, and the belts. Kind of like what seasons 1, 2, and 3 did. I honestly didn't care for season 4 with the ring worlds. It felt like Stargate and Lost in Space at that point.
That's fair.
You know,
Beltaloda.
But there was a lot of storyline like within like the Belters like controlling the ring network and whatnot. So, but yeah, I hope that at some point they get back to like in season 6, like if they're going to do that series finale, that they get back to that ring thing and they don't spend all their time on one damn planet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That was the biggest gripe was, okay, so yeah, you went through the ring and you found another planet. Great. But you spent all your time on that planet.
Yeah.
Like, what else is out there?
Yeah, so I guess I would love to...
Hell, I mean, they could do an animated series or something like that. You know, just something that continues it would be great.
I would love to. I would love to chat with you more, TJ, about this, but I guess I have to wait because I will slip into harder spoilers. But also, you're leaving for a second or a minute.
Yeah. So
Bye.
you can talk with Jared.
All right, now it's me and Jared. I'm just having time vamping with a friend.
Hello. Right.
So I just got done talking to TJ about The Expanse. So unfortunately, we'll have to go to a different topic, Jared. I'm so sorry.
Has he started watching it?
He hasn't. He's waiting for all the episodes in the season to come out.
Because that was the plan.
I told him that you guys now have 2 weeks. There's next week and the week after that, and then all the episodes will be out for this season.
Yes, which I've been patiently waiting for. I've been marking on my calendar. I'm ready to watch season 5, which actually, and I haven't discussed this with him yet, but because TJ usually comes over and we watch stuff on Saturday nights, provided I don't have one of my Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders or something over in my life of fun that I do.
Fair.
But I'm going to run it by him to see if we can go, because we're not going to watch all 10 episodes tomorrow night. So I thought maybe we go ahead and start tomorrow night, and then over the next week or two, we could get there, because that's killing me, man. It's killing me. But the other thing I want to do is maybe watch the last between 2 and 4 episodes of season 4, just as a refresher. Although I have a feeling season 5 is not going to kind of. I feel like I saw a trailer for it and I was like, okay, well, it looks like they might kind of go a different direction, than the end of season 4, and there's going to be kind of a new thing, because if you haven't seen it yet, kids, season 4 kind of ends on a cliffhanger where you're like, oh no, everyone's going to die. Mm-hmm. So, well, but season 5 rolls around and they're not dead yet. So there's something happened, and I'm kind of curious to see what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's You just have to watch the show. But basically, to sum it up, while we're waiting on TJ, you have Mars, you have Earth, and then you have what's called the Belters, which is between Mars and Jupiter. Yeah, and they talk like a bunch of lazy South Africans. Belter die by Belter way. What?
Awatong Basmang. Awatong Basmang.
Yeah, exactly. We're here, Belter. This is about the way we do this.
Also, I noticed that some of their words, because it's like this Creole that they're taking, or just like the bastardization phonically of some words, because like their word for water is just like a weird phonic aqua. And it's like you're saying aqua, but you're not. Like if I put on the captions, it's going to show me a word that does not look like aqua. and as a belter loader myself, I'm getting really upset with this brightness. My brightness. No, I like
Anyways,
it. I like it.
TJ, now that you're back, I was gonna go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm glad you guys like convinced me to finally watch this. I've gotten pretty hooked to the show. Pretty hooked to the show.
So TJ, what I was suggesting to MrCAC was, I know me and you had planned on waiting till it was completely released before we started watching. I thought I could say, hey, why not tomorrow night we go ahead and watch the first couple episodes? But then I thought, why don't we watch the last couple episodes of season 4 again as kind of a refresher to where we are? I mean, I kind of know where we are, but just to get kind of, okay, yes, all right. And by that time, next weekend rolls around, we'll be ready to go. You can answer at any time. Is that damn cat up in my window again?
Yeah, it's been beat bopping around for a while.
No, well, that kitty.
All right.
I just saw my curtain move in the monitor, and I was like, "What the hell's going on? The place is haunted."
Well, before TJ can give an answer, let's move to Batman Returns. What was I gonna do? Oh my gosh.
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. Yeah. But first, get rid of that. And then not that it's necessarily needed, I guess. So this is more for like when we split things. I'm gonna try to start splitting. If we do segments, I'm gonna try to split them up on YouTube, because YouTube does not like long hour stuff. It likes shorter 20 or less than 20 minute stuff.
Bam.
So here we are.
Because people don't have an attention span longer than 20 minutes.
Yep. You got to keep them for 15 seconds. If you can keep them for 15 seconds, you got them for a minute.
So we're now going to transition. Hello, welcome to Raging Nerds. I am MrCAC. This is my brother Jared, my friend Travis TJ. And not that his last name is TJ, but whatever, you don't care. Shut up. And we are going to do what we're calling, as of right now, in a tentative sense, a Nerd Rage breakdown of the 1992 classic Batman Return. And how we will start off our Nerd Rage breakdowns is by doing a customary tell of the tape. So let's see what the tell of the tape looks like for this movie. Let's get some tell of the tape. There we go. Finally, some tell of the tape music that I like. So this movie was released June 19th, 1992. That's 3 years after the first Batman. Still directed by Tim Burton, still distributed by Warner Bros. Stars Michael Keaton making his return as Batman, Danny DeVito as the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer, who was dating Michael Keaton at the time, as Selena Kyle Catwoman, and Christopher Walken as a character that was just a Christopher Walken wearing a wig. Runtime of 126 minutes, the same amount of minutes as the first Batman. The budget for this film, as with many sequels of a successful first movie, was higher by 30 to 45 million, depending on where you finally line up that budget, between the 65-80 million. The box office, however, was less, so it only brought in 282.8 million, which is 128.8 million less than the Batman box office. Awards, no major awards won. Nothing, not good. Rotten Tomatoes score, 80%, actually 9% higher than the first Batman. Google users liked it, 86%, which was actually 2% lower. And the IMDb database rating is a 7.5 out of 10, which is a point, or half a point lower than Batman before it. Yeah, so Batman, man. Batman Returns. In some regards, let's just call it what it is. It's a sequel to a highly successful first movie that got a resounding meh to kind of good to this is not good. And while the box office shows one picture, I have always, in my views back at Batman Returns, have generally liked Batman Returns. How'd you boys feel about the movie?
Go ahead, Mr. TJ.
No, you go ahead. You prepared.
Which is why you should go first, because I've got a lot to say. So okay, a couple things to unpack here. And I kind of what I did was I watched the movie and I kind of had the laptop out and I was kind of making notes as we went along. I won't just fire off everything right here. We can discuss as we go. First big thing that threw me off for anything Batman related was of the Penguin character is absolutely absurd as an actual Penguin man. But I also found it odd in the very opening scene that his parents decided to just kill him for eating the cat. He ate the cat and they're like, well, we must throw him over a bridge because that's what rich people do.
It's Gotham.
It's Gotham. There you go. And their demeanor, I made note of this too. The parents are lifeless, cold, but because they just, when they throw him over the bridge, they just kind of look at each other and like it is done. We have killed the child. But not that I'm a crime syndicate organizer. They need to tie up those loose ends because they just threw him over a basket into the river where they didn't know where it go. He could have been the next. No, he turned out to be the Penguin. So if you're, I'm not even gonna say that. I was gonna say if you're gonna kill a child, make sure you finish through.
Yeah, let's not say that. Also, Jared, since you brought up Penguin's parents, I will interject a moment of trivia for you, and here you go. Burgess Meredith, who played the Penguin on the Adam West Batman, was actually getting talked up to be Penguin's father for this movie, but due to health reasons was unable to act in it.
And I believe died shortly after this movie was made. I think he died in... So they started production on this in 92. It was or 91 probably, and it was released in 92. I think Burgess Meredith maybe died in 94. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Burgess Meredith is get him, Rock. What's
oh my
his name?
Gosh, yes.
Pappy.
Mickey?
No, it's not Pappy.
Mickey. Yes.
Pappy.
Oh my gosh.
He looks like a Pappy, doesn't he?
He does kind of look like Pappy.
So that's him from Rocky. But yeah, so the second thing that really come out, and again I'm just kind of going chronologically here, is after they dump baby Penguin into the river of an abandoned zoo / amusement park, that apparently all the animals still lived, or at least the penguins. I don't know. But so that's when Danny Elfman takes over and brings us into Batman Returns. And to that point, that one of the best things about this movie is Danny Elfman is still on point with the Batman orchestra. So,
right quick,
okay.
Thunderous Latte says, was he the number one son, but they treated him like the number two? Or treated him like number two?
They had any more. Were there more Cobblepots? There were not more graves. And you figure some brother would have stepped up and... Because, I mean, you got to figure, unless they fell from grace and, like, squandered their inheritance on something, there should have been old, Jimmy Cobblepot would have been like, no, that's my penguin flipper brother. Who knows? So who knows what happened?
Well, they flushed him like a poop, essentially, right? That's what...
They flushed him like a poop.
That's
now,
what Latte
second thing
said.
I want to point out, speaking of... And I kind of touched on this earlier. Random Gotham River runs directly into an amusement park / zoo, and nobody ever thought to close that off. When everything shut down, the engineers of Gotham never thought, we ought to go, close this hole up in case the penguins escape. And I've got more. Does anybody else want to say anything?
Well, first,
before we go?
You've done it again. You've said a word that's triggered a trivia moment. Hello, Penguin says that in his mayor speech. I thought he did, but I'm gonna be completely honest. I haven't seen this movie in a long time. So in an interview for television, Stan Winston told a little anecdote about how the crew were collecting the mechanical penguins after a day's shoot and found one of the live penguins snuggled up with the mechanical. This is where you throw it in and just say, "Oh, that's so sweet." But yeah, so Penguin was basically put in sewage water and sent out as a floater because yes, his parents treated him as number 2.
I didn't ever put this on my list, but I've always wondered too, if you've ever seen the movie, what is the deal with his like gross green crap coming out of his mouth? And like he's always like spitting and it's always like a gross, I don't know. It's like a tar or something. Did he dip? Did he I don't know what he did. Did he take things of roof cement and stick them in his mouth, which it probably wouldn't have worked, but do penguins secrete some sort of black tar thing from their mouths? I never understood that.
That was probably one of like the, it was
in my
opinion, a design flaw in the penguin. Making him look like an actual penguin with like the hands and just everything about him. I think they wanted to make him as grotesque as possible. So why not have green sludge? And you're talking, they dumped him in sewer water essentially.
Mercury poisoning from the raw fish is what Thunderous Latte said.
Okay, all right. So,
Thunderous Latte, you're doing a much better job trying to explain this than what the movie did. So kudos to you.
I got another one for you. So this is another one that being raised by wolves kind of things. So why would he even remember his roots growing up? Because he kind of wore this regalness about him. He came up, he's like, I had a dad, I had a family, or whatever he did. And he's got his top hat on and he's got his umbrella, very regal-esque, how would he know that dumped in as a baby? Did the penguins teach him some sort of high society civility, being that he was some sort of a freak show? When did he learn to speak? And that's it kind of turned into a central issue for me because I fixated on it. I was like, did the penguins teach him to talk? Did the carnies teach him to talk?
I think the whole thing, he was probably raised by the carnies who taught him this stuff, and probably, if you want to get, into it, they probably could have looked up his family lineage ahead of time. He, the whole thing with him, like, I don't know who my parents were. I'm a cobblepot, whatever. I mean, plot points to move the story forward, but also, at that point, if you're setting up to be this type of criminal mastermind, you already know this stuff, Right. It's he knew who Max Schreck was. Yes. He knew that he could get him in the public spotlight in order to, fulfill his whatever he wanted to do. So I don't think, it's one of those things that's kind of probably more understood than sit there and go, did he go to the school? Was one of those carnies a school teacher who taught him all this stuff?
who taught him English?
How did he learn penmanship? And
So let me interject a couple more moments of trivia since we're talking about the penguin right now. I hear yelling in the background.
That's my chair. Is that my cat?
That's my chair squeaking.
Okay. So
it sounds like a cat sometimes.
So apparently, for Penguin, Jack Nicholson told Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito would go on to say that Jack Nicholson was the one that basically convinced him to do this role. Is that after the success that Jack Nicholson experienced, he said, Danny, you got to take this role, man. You're going to make lots of money, man. And I don't think he worked out the same agreement that Jack did, because I don't think anyone became any kind of super wealthy actor after this movie was made. Also,
well, Michelle Pfeiffer went on to do great things.
That's
sort
true.
of.
That's true. And, Danny DeVito's eventually found resurgence in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, being a complete, absolute animal once yet again. So, apparently, Danny DeVito was forbidden to describe his makeup, the appearance of the Penguin, to even his family, because tabloids posted some pictures that got out of Danny DeVito and the Penguin getup, and apparently Tim Burton and Warner Bros were super frustrated with this. They did not want anyone seeing their Penguin. They wanted it to be a complete shock. Also, and this is a moment where I ask you boys to take a guess to help answer this trivia, this famous actor of the 90s was refused entry onto the set because of how strictly they were trying to protect the Penguin. Would you like to care to venture the guess at who this famous 90s action star was that was declined access to set?
Do we have a multiple choice, or do you just want to throw out a guess?
Just throw out a guess.
Chuck Norris.
No.
Tom Cruise.
Wrong. Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner was told...
My next guess was Steven Seagal, by the way.
He was told, you cannot come on because, Warner Bros. Just did not want anyone seeing this Penguin. I don't know why. I don't know.
Listen here, Robin Hood.
Also, Danny DeVito stayed in character of the Penguin between sets. Thunder's Latte, Jackie Chan. No! But, and I forget about the delay. Sorry, Thunder's Latte, but I'm glad you're playing along too. I do appreciate you, buddy. But yeah, no, Danny DeVito apparently stayed in character between sets, so he's already an inhuman penguin person. Yes, he's already an inhuman penguin person eating raw fish in what I can only describe as like skin tight long johns. His death sequence, the gif of his death and his clammy, clenched, not appropriately sized buttocks when he falls face first and slides into the fucking water to be one with the penguins.
I forgot about that. I watched the movie right before the show, and I was just like, can we discuss how much of a creep and pervert like Danny DeVito's like Penguin was in this movie?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anyone...
little high school girl. You need a button on your boobie there. Vote for Penguin. Oswald, Tubpot, whatever.
There were just some things like some lines that I was just like, oh wow, I don't remember ever hearing that line before, but I mean,
okay.
Just
This is totally random. Does not have to do with necessarily Batman Returns or any other Batman movie. I just made a note of it because I've noticed it, and I wanted to run it by you guys too. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I want to throw it out there. The bat signal is completely worthless on a clear night.
Yeah.
It's Gotham, Jared.
It's Gotham. Nights. There's smog. There's clouds. There's fog. There's always something in the sky. But I just thought, if it was ever just clear in Gotham one night and there was a bunch of crime and Commissioner Gordon turned it on and this just light just went to nowhere, kind of like, oh no, he'll never see us now.
Crime can only happen on stormy days.
He had a little red phone in the 60s. They tried the bat signal, didn't work. Dial him up.
Thunderous Latte says, honestly, is Danny DeVito ever not the Penguin? And I would say, in Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Danny DeVito is portraying the Penguin. He just doesn't have the beak-like nose and actually is a human penguin person. But other than that, he's pretty much Cobblepot there too, because he's getting weird in his old age. TJ, to go along with you asking about how creepy the Penguin was, the trained monkey that delivers the note to Batman refused to go around Danny DeVito because apparently the makeup scared the monkey. You are so frightening in this outfit, you terrify actual animals. Like, I feel like that is commendable And also insanity. Like, what?
That just shows like a good makeup artist right there, and a good makeup design if you're gonna scare animals like that. But I mean, just
when the animal is afraid of the person acting like an animal, you've done your job.
Well, I mean, he probably just saw someone eat a cat, so he's like, I ain't going near that shit.
He just ate a cat. F this, I'm gone.
So
hey,
I was gonna say right quick. The original screenplay actually had the Penguin and Catwoman instead of what they were doing in the movie that we saw. They were actually going to be looking for treasure. They were going to be searching for hidden treasure. That was going to be the original plot of this movie. And then they decided, no, let's not do that. Let's actually make him a penguin person and her crazy supernatural, and he'll also run for mayor.
Glad they changed that up.
I am too. I am too.
One of the things going to the penguin that brought the note, I'd actually put that on my notes. That was one of the things of the it reminded me so much of something that Adam West would do. It's like, what's this? A note from my enemy? And he's got professional Batman stationery, and it's just so campy and stupid. That's what. And another instance in the movie too. It's like, so in Batman, the big, the first one, Commissioner Gordon's like, oh my God, it's a bat, it's a man we don't know. And then at the end of it, it's like, how will we get him to help us? We gave him a signal, but there's never any camaraderie there. And then like opening scene when the Penguins people are like destroying Gotham, and like Batman comes in and beats all their asses. He's slowly stalking away, and Commissioner Gordon's coming up there. He's like, hey there, buddy, how you doing? Thanks for clearing everything up. It's like, when did they become friends? It just kind of it harkened me back to the Adam West Batman, where it's kind of like the campy kind of where Batman just strolls up to City Hall. Hey there, Commissioner Gordon. What evil doing things have we got going on today? Do you have an invoice for me? It just kind of, I don't know. But the Batman stationery was one. It threw me for a loop.
So, to follow up on the monkey, I have new information. Apparently on the Graham Norton show, not the penguin, Danny DeVito said that the drool and his makeup actually scared the monkey so much that it tried to attack him. It went for his family jewels region, but luckily that awful suit he was wearing that made him look super weird was super padded, so the monkey was not able to reach his crotch. But it wasn't for a lack of trying. Also, how messed up is it in the animal world? Monkeys, like, first thing is, all right, this thing's really upsetting me. I am going to rip off its genitalia. Like, what? And that's what we evolved from, man. Like, what? What? That's just weird. All right. Back to the movie. Moving on.
So, TJ, unless you've got anything else to say, Batman's character is pretty much the same. They do have a little bit more comedy in this one than they do in the first movie. But I think we should shift focus now to the other elephant in the room, that is Michelle Pfeiffer and her appearance as Catwoman. And go.
Go.
Oh, me go. Okay. Yeah. Great. I was like, TJ can't hear us.
You're the one that took notes, dude.
All right.
I'm here for color commentary.
Gotcha.
You're the play-by-play.
First thing. Granted that Catwoman broke away from any other DC version of Catwoman whatsoever. Tim Burton just said, no, let's not make her a burglar. Okay, cool. Tim, what do you want to do? Let's make her an actual Catwoman. Huh? Yeah. You guys following me on this? Mm-hmm. Okay, Tim, sure. How do you want to do that? Well, let's have her die, and let's have her get munched on by a bunch of cats, feral cats in the area, and then she'll wake up, have 9 lives, and have ninja powers. And some dumb son of a bitch in the room said, I love it. And here we are. So the Catwoman creation is a bit odd. She dies, the cats chew on her, she becomes a ninja. But only Catwoman. Selena Kyle's character just becomes kind of like a senile person wanting to kill Max Schreck. She's the same person. I don't know how the alter ego. I think that's how they got away with it. They made it flow so well that you don't ever question it unless you actually pay attention. You go, wait a minute. Why? How would that? What? How did she? But the same way in Batman, he falls in a vat of toxic sludge, somehow gets flushed, comes out in the river. He's a different color and much happier. So I don't know. That's Tim Burton for you. I chalk that one up to Tim Burton. What do you think, TJ?
I mean, you kind of look at the supernatural aspect of, well, like even the Penguin. How did he become a penguin type S character?
And learning.
How did she die and then come back to life, and then suddenly she has the Catwoman? I mean, honestly, I don't think there's a distinction between Selena Kyle and Catwoman. My thing is, why did Selena Kyle, when she comes back to life, suddenly decide to become Catwoman in the first place? I mean, she wasn't a cat burglar. Catwoman was originally based off of like a cat burglar kind of thing. So, like, I mean, you could easily say something like, hey, maybe she just hit her head real hard and stopped being a ditz.
She was thrown out of a window after all.
Yeah. So,
Keep talking. I got to get rid of this cat. Sorry. Hang on.
I mean, it's a supernatural thing of this version of the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
I really don't have anywhere to go with it. I mean, it is kind of odd, how it's like suddenly you're thrown out a window, cats nibble on your fingers, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, I'm craving milk, catnip, and a little thing, like a ball on a string, and I just want to sit there and play with it. Ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and go, like, dress up in a cat suit and destroy a bunch of stuff
that you made from a jacket.
Did she really rob anything? I mean, no,
she did just destroy a department store.
Yeah, she broke in and destroyed a department store. But
which was Shrek's store, by the way.
It ended up.
Caught that.
Well, he owns a lot of Gotham, so I mean, it figures.
He's Gotham. What do they call him? Gotham's father. Something that basically insinuated he's given a lot of money to a lot of people. So
I'll say this: even with